AEW All Out just passed, and it's time to go over the pay-per-view and see how my predictions held up. Starting off with MJF vs Daniel Garcia. This match was fantastically put together. Both wrestlers had injuries to their necks, and they made sure the audience could feel how much they hated each other. In the end, MJF was a little smarter and had the experience advantage, so he won by pinfall. But even though the ending was a bit sneaky, the match had a lot of energy, and it seems like they'll be fighting again in the future. When they do, maybe Daniel Garcia will finally win. After the match, there was more action, which was really good, including Daniel Garcia getting his pile drivers in and not leaving the event with nothing, seemingly writing MJF off TV for a while. Overall, it was a fantastic way to kick off the pay-per-view. The entire 30 minutes, including the match and the post-match action, were entertaining from start to finish. Next up was the Young Bucks vs BCC for the World Tag Team Championship. The Young Bucks had a great match. Even though their year hasn't been as good as usual, this performance was a lot better. They gave it their all and did a great job. However, Claudio might have been the best wrestler in the match this time. Yuta was great too. Even though the match was put together quickly and without much story in 2 weeks, the crowd was excited and made it feel like a big important match for the championship. But I was really hoping to see the Motor City Machine Guns after the match, but that didn't happen. It's okay. My prediction was correct. Next up was Will Ospreay vs Pac for the International Championship. This was an amazing wrestling match. Will Ospreay is the best wrestler in the world, and Pac is very close to his level. When they wrestle together, it makes something special in that ring. The match was fantastic, showing just how skilled both of them are. This is what AEW wrestling is all about bringing top wrestlers together for exciting matches. The match ended at just the right moment, leaving everybody in awe. It's incredible to have a wrestler like Ospreay in this company, where he can keep having these amazing matches for fans to enjoy every week. AEW says it's the place where the best wrestlers compete, and after seeing this match, it's hard to disagree. My prediction was correct, and they put on an all-timer match for the All Out crowd. Next up was Kris Statlander vs Willow Nightingale in a Chicago street fight. This was one of the best women's matches of the year and one of the best death matches too. It stood out even more because it followed another very great and highly anticipated match. At first it seemed that the writers might have thought the crowd might not be as excited for this match since the last one was so good. But Willow and Statlander kept everyone interested from start to finish. Their match had a strong story built over several months, which made it even better. A good death match has exciting moment and a natural build-up in intensity, and this match did both of those things very well. They had high hopes for the match, and it turned out to be even better than expected. In short, the match was awesome and exceeded every expectation in every way. My prediction may have been incorrect, but it seems they're gonna have a rematch in a short amount of time. Maybe Willow Nightingale will get her win there. Kris Statlander hitting a split on the thumbtacks was also diabolical. Next up, we have the AEW Continental title 4-way between Okada, Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, and Konosuke Takeshita. A very fast-paced match with lots of action. All four wrestlers did a great job showing their skills. The funny moments with Mark Briscoe and Orange Cassidy may not be for everybody, but they didn't take up much of the match. The focus was more on the different styles and talents of each wrestler, which made the match interesting and fun to watch. Even though the match seemed to be building up excitement for a future one-on-one fight between Okada and Takeshita, that didn't take away from how good this match was. It kept the energy high and didn't drag on too long. After watching, I'm really looking forward to seeing Okada and Takeshita have a longer, more intense singles match in the future. Overall, it was a great match that didn't disappoint and left me excited for what's next. My prediction was correct, as Okada retained the title. Next up, we have the TBS title match between Mercedes Moné and Hikaru Shida. Mercedes' matches have been challenging because her wrestling style is slower and focuses on grappling and building momentum over time, as well as matching her opponent's style, rather than consistently exciting the audience with flashy moves. This makes her matches feel different from other pay-per-view matches in AEW, where the action is usually non-stop and over the top. She might do better if her matches were scheduled earlier in the event, when the audience is more open to a slower-paced wrestling match. Later in the night, the crowd tends to expect more action-packed matches, especially when other stars like Ospreay are performing. Another issue is that Mercedes' recent matches haven't had very strong storylines or narrative hooks to draw the crowd in, which can make the slower pace harder for fans to truly appreciate. Giving her more engaging storylines like the ones Danielson or Perry have had could have helped the audience connect better with her match. Despite this, Mercedes is still considered one of the best wrestlers in the world. With the right match timing and storylines, she could shine even more on pay-per-views. Although this particular match was very good, it had some awkward moments towards the end. However, Mercedes worked hard, taking huge bumps for Shida, whose strong physical style and impressive grappling added to the match's quality. My prediction was incorrect, however, this could be good for the future, and it established Mercedes Moné as a strong TBS champion. Next up, we have the AEW World Championship match between Bryan Danielson and TNT champion Jack Perry. This first title defense for Bryan Danielson was amazing. Some people didn't think Jack Perry was a good opponent, but it ended up being a great choice. After the match, it was clear that Danielson has two big challenges coming up, and the feuds are more personal, which will make things even more interesting. In the match, Danielson showed that he's a strong champion who can control the fight and beat any challenges. Perry tried to copy Danielson's moves, but Danielson was too good and won in a clear and tough way. After the match, the emotions were high, and Yuta's acting was some of the best seen in a while. Pac holding him back was very touching, and Mox and Claudio's aggression added to the intensity in the best way possible. In the end, everybody involved looked great. The post-match moment was perfect, and the match itself was brilliant from start to finish. A lot of the matches and segments in this show have had moments that are just the right amount of uncomfortable, including Moxley trying to suffocate Bryan Danielson with a plastic bag. And although my prediction was correct, I do wonder where this goes in the immediate future, as Yuta, Pac, and Claudio are the trio's champions, but Pac and Claudio have seemingly turned on Danielson and Yuta, or at least Yuta wasn't a part of the plan to turn on Danielson. And since Moxley and Danielson were the first two members of the Blackpool Combat Club, is this really even the Blackpool Combat Club anymore? And lastly, we had the lights out steel cage match between Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page. This match was intense, brutal, and uncomfortable in all of the right ways. It felt like both wrestlers were fighting for their lives. In the ending, knockout was the only logical way to end the match, and it was the perfect way to finish the match. A match like this shouldn't end with a pin or submission because both wrestlers hate each other so much as to just give up. The knockout was a strong finish that fit the story, and I'm really curious to see what happens next for both Hangman and Swerve, whether they continue their rivalry right away or take some time to focus on other opponents before coming back to each other. It's going to be interesting to watch. Both wrestlers showed they were willing to go all out, and their future matches should be just as exciting, whether against each other or other wrestlers. This feud has been full of drama and action and has been one of the best in wrestling history, and I can't wait to see where it goes next. My prediction was correct, with Hangman Adam Page coming out with a win after Swerve's 2 wins in a row, and a draw. The use of cinder blocks, tables, hypodermic needles, a wooden stake from Swerve's burned down house, a staple gun, and more made this one of the most brutal matches in AEW history, and the right two people to have that claim. At certain points in the match, I wasn't able to remain in my seat. I had to stand up, walk around, cover my face. It was a very squirmy, uncomfortable match in the right ways. It was the kind of match where you don't really want to see clips of it show up on your social media feed because you don't want to watch it again. But in a way you do want to watch it again because how good it was. It was just very uncomfortable for the viewer, and I feel like that's the correct route to take. It was arguably just as good, if not a little bit better than the Texas Death Match at Full Gear. But yes, my prediction for this match was correct, and Hangman Adam Page winning, and that's a wrap for the pay-per-view. A successful pay-per-view that none of the fans have gotten down from the euphoric feeling of just yet. It usually takes 3 or 4 days to get down from that feeling, and it's doing that once again. So, help. You did not see the last one. Like, help, right there. Help. Right there. It's in the description. Help me get things, please. Jesus Christ.